passion, they know I'm past drifting. Look, we are not the same, this is not a game. I've been swerving through the city in and out of lanes. Yeah, cause if I see it, then I want it, then you better know I got it. Ain't no options, I'm about to do the damn thing. I'm an outlaw, you can never catch me. I'm in first place, you can never. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. Be your own enemy, your own enemy, your own enemy. When I fall, I keep running. Feel the pain, but I love it, yeah.
You know I'm built for it, you ain't gotta ask twice.
You ain't by that fast life, 100 on the dash with the cash light. You ain't by that fast life, big dog status with your stats like. You ain't by that fast life, just know 100 duffels is the bag price. You ain't by that fast life, 6 speed, yeah, I'm smashing on the gas. It's a fast life. It's a fast life. Keeping it moving, don't switch up my code. Life full of circles, we out the A4. It's a fast life. Look, yeah, I'm about to ride it till the wheels fall off. Yeah, I'm about to run the game, I ain't never dropping off. Let's be talking about a bag, put a duffel on the dash. Yeah, I'm really about to swap. Heavy foot up on the gas with it. Trunk drags with the cash in it. Passionate, long range when I'm passing it. All drive, I ain't stopping unless I'm crashing it. And even that wouldn't stop me from going after it. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. Be your own enemy, your own enemy.
Why intensely sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series. Down to the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag. Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordan Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they're going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Get your foot there. He's got it. He's got it. Canvas is in.
Wienecki took advantage of last week's regrid and wielded it to impressive effect. But as hard as it is to pass at Wild West, Crandon's short course kicks it up another notch. Let's see if track position proves pivotal tonight as we get ready to watch round 2 of the iRacing Short Course Regional Series, and you'll see it all live here on FTF.gg. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our producer, Zach Johnson. Now, sadly, the off-road community has lost a very valuable member recently, and joining us is Brent Smith. Brent, unfortunately, it sounds like Kyle LeDuc has finally succumbed to his battle with cancer.
Yeah, man, he fought hard, and there's a lot more that went on in his final weeks, and his time had come, and it's just a real bummer, especially for the off-road world. I mean, just to lose a guy at the top of his game within the last year, it's just heartbreaking for a lot of us and the whole community. I'm thinking of Amber, Addie, Reedy, and then Nancy, Todd LeDuc, Kurt LeDuc, and Valerie LeDuc. I mean, that was a really close family, and they were the best. I mean, in my eyes and my twin brother's eyes, Brock Smith, that'll be racing tonight, he and I grew up with him. We started hanging out with him at 14 years old and just doing our thing, going around the pits, trying to learn as much as we could. And he was 16, 17 years old, going after a pro light dream, not with a lot of sponsors, just trying to learn as much as he could from his father to build his own trucks. And what he did in the sport is just breathtaking. 100+ wins. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to get to call those wins, and throughout his career, what he did in Lucas Oil, now in Champ Off-Road. I mean, from Pro Light to Pro 4, he just tried his butt off. He was there to win races. He wasn't there to play around. He wasn't there. He didn't care if it was Greaves. He didn't care if it was Renazetter, Robbie Woods, anybody that he thought he could beat, he would beat, because in his head he was the best, and he just drove us to be the best we could possibly be. And Kyle, that's what his life was about. Family, getting his truck there, making it work. Trad and the guys did everything to give him the best trucks, but just him being a fabricator and what he did and what his knowledge was, being an innovator of the sport, making those trucks sound and drive way differently. In my eyes, there's no one that could back a truck in like Kyle and keep going forward. And you can ask anybody in the world. We lost a great human being. I lost a great friend. Amber and the kids have lost a great father. And it just breaks my heart. It's been so hard. I can't imagine what they're going through. But just as an off-road community, we just all have to stick together, because Kyle would want us to run tonight and run the living you-know-what out of the trucks, and you battle until the end. Second sucks, and he'll tell you that every time. So I would like to take a moment of silence for our dear friend Kyle and let 99 live on forever, because that boy could drive a truck like no other. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brent, for those wonderful words. And to help us remember Kyle, we have a special homage that we'd like to present.
Perfectly now on that right-hander, Shane Kyle. A year ago today, he took his last win. He's going to do it again. The 99 Pro 4 winner. Big-time redemption for Kyle. There he is. He's going to climb out of his truck, put his arms in the air. From Fairhope, Alabama, the number 99 Monster Energy back ride, Kyle Leduc. Had the better run off the high side of Talladega turn, so he'll slide back in front. Leduc has to go back to the back bumper of Greaves once again. He's going to look to the inside of the top of Ziegler Cat turn, and they make some contact. Yeah, wheel-to-wheel contact. Kyle's going to have that inside line, but Greaves will have the preferred position on the inside off this jump. Man, Leduc just about carried both of those guys all the way down to the K-rail. Now he's going to try to cross him up in turn one and get the inside run. Wow, great driving by these two drivers. Watch Kyle Leduc. If I know Kyle Leduc, he's going to try to set him out outside, inside. Greaves knows it's coming. Look at Leduc go to the bottom side once again. Celebrate. Yeah! Second place!
Yeah, we've been racing for a minute. Back in 2002, I started this venture of short karts with my dad. And 03, I nailed down my first win. Lost a bunch of races in between, but today we captured our win.
Taken from us way too early. He's only a couple years older than me, so I can only imagine how hard this is on friends and family. But I'm sure he'd want us to go racing, and that we will do tonight. Joey, we have come back to Crandon once again, but as we have mentioned before, this is the short version of Crandon. This is a completely different beast.
And you see all of the trucks lined up here as well, and you mentioned it, the short version of Crandon. Only 4 turns, just under a mile in length, and it's pretty simple. Turn 1 starts off with a shortcut that connects us right back in before the double whoop section before we hit Turn 2, the fast sweeping left-hander. into the skybox straightaway. Then only 2 turns remain. The well-known gravel pit over one of the big Crandon jumps after that, and then into Calamity Corner. So albeit a very shortened version of Crandon, we still get the awesome gravel pit as well as some incredibly high-flying jumps.
Should be fun, but it's going to be a lot quicker than what we've seen at Crandon usually, which tends to be a longer lap compared to most short course laps on the schedule. Now, for the championship, as it looks like qualifying's just getting started. I mentioned Winecki came away with the win last time. He actually has the points lead as well, but it's only a single point over Mikolajic. So it's still very tight after that first round. And they've got about 6 points from Winecki down to Linda in third, 5 points between Paul and Matt. So we'll see if those same characters are the ones to watch out for in this race, round 2 of the regional series, as they start to take out to the track. Like I was saying, I have a feeling that track position is going to be so critically important, and this qualifying could make or break things for you here a little, Joey.
You mentioned how short the lap is, so yes, track position going to be incredibly important. We also don't have that huge run down into what I believe will be turn 1. I'm not sure if we're doing that land rush start or not, but it's going to be incredibly important to get your truck as far forward in this very short qualifying session.
Absolutely. Don't have any times down yet, but they're going to start coming across very quickly. They only get 4 laps to try and set a competitive time. So you at least have opportunities, but in these 8 minutes, those are going to go by quickly. So we could see a few drivers maybe hanging back to see what plays out here as we see coming through turn 1, or what in this version is turn 1, and hitting the tires to the inside. I was kind of wondering if those would be a talking point, those tractor tires down on the exit of turn 1 or right up at the edge of the track there, Joey.
And we will be doing that standing land rush start like I was kind of mentioning earlier, but those tractor tires, you're right, you got to be careful. You can't clip them. They will definitely push you off of the line. However, you want to be as close as possible. Look at the track state out there. There's no cushion to really be riding quite yet. Very, very new.
Looks like Linda has the provisional pole. Remember, they will be slotted into heats here, so you will not see Kirchmeier, if he finishes second here in the qualifying, starting next to him in that first heat. He'll be starting at his own heat, although he has the second quickest time, only off by 100th of a second right now. But it looks like Cody Winecki has decided he wants to join the party. On his first time lap, he puts the fastest time down.
And that time of 42.76. So all of these drivers that are really inside of the top 5, they are stacked on top of each other. In fact, I'm seeing, Joe, the top 4 within 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, you're right. It is so tight there here in the early stages, but we still have about 3 minutes left in the qualifying. Cody still with the quickest time, and he is swinging it way out wide. This is definitely an off lap for him. He's going to try and set himself up for another flyer here on the third lap as he takes off around turn 1 once again. We jump back a little bit now, taking a look at, I believe, trying to check out which, this is Fisher actually that we've got on the screen, who I thought was on a good lap, but has a bit of a bobble down into Calamity Corner and ruins that one.
Yeah, but thankfully was able to get it squared up and really get that launch across the start-finish line. So this lap won't go to waste, even though that previous lap did. And to let everybody know, there is 4 laps that these drivers can do in qualifying. It is their best of those 4 timed laps that they put down.
Jake Hill, Jeremy DeWitt, and Tommy Donahue have not set times yet. Linda is not able to improve on his laps. He is second at best here today. As Kirchmeier still in third position. Countryman currently 4th fastest of the times out there. In fact, Kirchmeier, I think, is on his final lap right now as we watch him come around to Calamity Corner. Tightest and slowest corner on the track, and it lives up to its name when you see the trucks all take part at the same time. He does not improve, unfortunately. 42.823 is his quickest.
And especially with the Pro 4 trucks, Joe, Calamity Corner, you got to keep the nose really tucked in along that concrete wall. Otherwise, you're just giving up lap time. And more importantly, when you put other trucks around you, you're giving up that track position, just opening the door to anybody behind you.
Corey Boudinot is going to come around to see if he can get himself higher than 30th. He's way far down the order, and his 4th lap doesn't do it, unfortunately. He stays in that 30th position. A number of drivers are going to be disappointed with hard work to do once we get into those heats, because usually it is a scant few drivers in the initial heats that make it through the cut automatically into the feature, and that saves you a lot of woe and sweat and tears on trying to get through those last chance qualifiers. But what about Joey Herbie here? Excuse me, no, this is Jeremy DeWitt actually that we've got on screen. Second lap is a 43.3. That's going to jump him up to 23rd.
And he does have a couple more laps that he can throw down, so hitting that shortcut is what I'm going to call it. That's turn 1, hops us over back to the main track here into this sweeping turn number 2, down the skybox straightaway and straight into that gravel pit. Another one of the most exciting turns on this Crandon track. We're talking about how Kyle LeDuc backs it into the gravel pit, one of the most amazing sights in all of motorsports.
Absolutely, and Jeremy DeWitt is going to see if he can maybe mimic that a little bit here as he comes out of the final turn and across the line. 43.5. No, that's not going to be it. He has one last lap to try and get higher than the 23rd place. Looking a little bit farther back here, this is Tommy Donahue now, 32nd position. That was his final lap. He's not going to see any higher than that.
I believe Jeremy might be the only car that can still put down, I should say truck, that should put down a lap time. Runs a little bit wide there in the gravel pit. Tries to really square off that exit. I think it might have been a touch too wide, though.
Yeah, it does show him as very close to his best time, though. It's going to be tight on whether or not he can do it, and he does not, unfortunately. He's about 2/10 off in the end, and Ryan Bauer just completed his as well. He was 38th out there, so that is everybody set, even though we have about a minute left to go. Only driver that did not set a time, it looks like, is Jake Hill in the 170, but it's too late now to try and put the truck on the track and take care of that. So we'll wait for the first of the heats to get gridded up, and we'll give you that starting order for the first one. 39 drivers here today, being narrowed down to a scant few in the end. I believe that it is going to be somewhere in the realm of about 24 trucks to try and make it in.
Extremely impressive, the attendance numbers. The Pro 4s at Crandon always draw an extremely big crowd, and I can't wait to see this land rush start, Joe. One of the most coolest things in motorsports.
It really is, and well, it looks like Kirchmeier is going to be starting on the overall pole here for his heat. Heat number 1, Cody Wienecke was beat by that 75 in the end, as Brock Smith will start from the 3rd position. You've got Corey Skiles in the 4th spot, followed by Ryan Lindner in the 5th position. Patrick Solari will be P6. After that, it is Brock Hanmer starting 7th and Dustin Price in 8th. Hayden Loomis will start 9th, and Kyle Dersham rounds out your top 10, Joey.
Then in 11th, we have Nick Queen. In 12th, Solomon Borschinger. And then the 13th truck will be Robert Kahn in the number 114.
Only 3 will go to the feature of this split, and the top 2 are inverted each time, we're finding out. So it's inversions even in the heat races. So if you've got the pole, or at least thought you got the pole, guess again. You're going to have to do a little bit of work. Granted, with the land rush, as you can see, there's only 2 rows, more like 1 1/3 of a row out here, as it's a relatively cool track, so the dirt still retaining a lot of that moisture at only 58 Fahrenheit in the mud currently today. Hopefully that'll keep it nice and tacky and sticky out on the track as they get ready to go. I think we should have them running in a second. Looks like they're getting the last few calls here from race control, Joey, just letting them know what's going on.
And as we look at these trucks on the starting grid, the truck driver's left, that number 75, that is your pole sitter. He has got the shortest distance to turn 1. However, you do have to navigate some bumps, some whoops here. It looks like we got the RPMs up.
Indeed. Lights are ready as the drivers prepare for the first heat of the night, and the green flag is out as they head down into Potawatomi turn 1. And it looks like it is a pretty good start for Kirchmeier there in that 75 as he's got a nose ahead, but now it all narrows down. And unfortunately, we're already seeing drama. Someone gets completely turned around. I think that was Nick Queen.
Yeah, but for the most part, here comes the big mayhem going into turn number 2. I see 2 cars being bounced up onto the roof and maybe even out of the track, but it's the number 15 of Dustin Price, I believe, that has kind of escaped out front.
Solari and Dersham were the 2 that went upside down, and you're right, it looks like Price briefly had the lead, but Winecki's going to fight back as they bang doors mid-air. That's going to set Price off the course, and he has to try and gather it back up before everybody zips on by. 3 wide as they bang doors across the final corner, and now Winecki leads Kirchmeier with 3rd place being Brock Smith.
And it's going to get really picked up from here on out. We don't do that long version, even though we started with a land rush start. So now it is pretty much short course racing from here on out.
It's Corey Skiles, apologies, who is in 3rd currently, side by side, back for 5th position between Loomis and Brock Smith. Brock, the brother of Brent, who we heard just before this race started. So currently Brock with a little bit of better qualifying and a better first chance to try and get back out there as we once again go wheel to wheel down through Calamity Corner. Coming off of it down to the inside, that is Borschinger going to try and get the spot, cutting back underneath. Look at that, Joey. That was Dustin Price.
Yeah, the 15 with a nice move to pretty much go over under, and Borschinger continues to bang doors here. You see how busy it is. These Pro 4 trucks, they are large race trucks, and trust me, Crandon, it's not that big in some of these areas.
Let's remember that even if you don't make it through to the top 3, your finishing position will determine your start position in the last chance qualifiers. So that's why everybody's fighting so hard in this group. They want that track position, knowing it's going to be tough to try and overtake. A little bit of an over-under there between Brock Smith and Brock Hammer as they head back into turn 1 once again. Much tighter inside line there for Smith.
I would keep my eye on this 46. He's made 2 really good passes in the last 2 laps. He's got a little bit of a gap to make up to that 3rd place transfer position, but Brock Smith in this turquoise colored Pro 4 truck is on the move.
And so is Dustin Price. He's up to 6 now. Needs a couple more positions to try and get himself above the cut line. And I'm sure that's his main focus, considering he led this race for about a corner. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him after that corner as they fly through Calamity Corner once again.
I think the one who's saying thank you very much is definitely the 2nd place runner of Cross Kirchmeier. Remember, he didn't get the whole shot after turn number 2, but between all of the trucks flipping over themselves, he finds himself in a nice piece of lonely racetrack just to go out there and do laps.
You're right. He's above the cut line. That's the important thing. Skiles behind him acts as a bit of a buffer. He's got Brock Smith kind of watching, hoping that maybe he could do something to pass that 0-1-1, but we'll see. He's got to get a little bit closer, and there's very few laps in these heats.
And I'm still watching that 46. The last time around, he was over half a second faster than the 3rd place truck of Corey Skiles. He's already closed it into the quarter panel. That race is on for the final transfer spot.
Certainly looks like he's got a fair bit of pace. Not only was he able to fend off Hammer, like you said, he's quickly on the back of Corey Skiles, but can he find the opportunities with only 2 laps left to go as they swing around the long left-hander of turn 2, heading towards Gravel Pit off the tabletop. He's lost a couple car lengths, so he'll have to get closer than that.
See him try to ride this cushion just a little bit of a narrower line than Corey Skiles right in front of him. Try to square off that corner. Now we head into turn number 4. How tight can you keep it right around this concrete wall? And you see Brock all the way in there, but gets that door shut on him.
Just pinched a little bit too tight. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. It's do or die time. If he doesn't manage to make this overtake, then at least he'll be on the top spot for the last chance qualifier, and that will certainly help him out in that sense, but I don't think he's going to be settling for that. He's sticking with them, although he swings a little bit wide in comparison as they come down towards the gravel pit. Ahead of it all, it is still Wienecke. Thinks he can chuck it in, but no dice for him. Meanwhile, the number 9 flies off the final jump into Calamity Corner, clear of everybody. Nice, tidy final line through there as he takes the win of the first heat of the night.
And Kirchmeier's going to cross in second, and Corey Skiles does hang on to that final transfer position in third.
It was awful tight between them, though, across the line as the last of the trucks now scamper across, and it looks like all 13 are done very quickly. So your finishing results there, the top 3, Wienecke, Kirchmeier, and Skiles, are your ones through. Everybody below that will have to head to the last chance qualifiers. That takes us to heat number 2 now of our 3 heats tonight. And Thad Countryman is going to be starting on this pole with Alex Abedi in second. You've got Paul Mikolajic third and Cole Fisher beginning in P4. Aiden Irvin starts 5th today. Joey Herbie in the 6th spot. Devin Frank in 7th along with Jeremy DeWett in P8. Christian Noble will be 9th, and then Austin Bolson will be the last of the front row there in 10th. And it's Tommy Donahue, Nathan Kirchner, and Ryan Bauer rounding them out here today. So they're getting one more little talk before they take off. Were you surprised that our inside car didn't get the whole shot last time there, Joey?
I'm not necessarily surprised that he didn't get the whole shot. Sometimes we see trucks here at Crandon really use that outside lane for that forward drive into turn number 1. However, turn 2, that's really where all the chaos was in heat number 1. I'm curious, is it going to happen in turn 1 or turn 2? They are both giant funnel effects here at Crandon.
That's a good point. And it seems like just trying to stay out of trouble is going to be job number 1 for a lot of these drivers. And I've even seen in some of the text chat, Patrick Solari says, I hate heats. So does not enjoy. He'd rather get to the main event, as we are not going to yet because the engines start to rev for heat number 2. And the green flag is out off of the land rush start. Doesn't look like it's as good of a start down to the inside. Oh, they're going to wreck before they even get into the first turn this time, as some of them get tangled with one another. Will that make it a little bit better down through the first turn? Looks like Countryman will hold on to the lead as they try to sort themselves now into turn 2.
Yeah, I believe it was Devin Franken. Oh, now the leaders get turned around. We got chaos in turn 2. That continues to be the problem area, but it's the number 98. That's Abedi leading the way. Jeremy DeWett in the silver and yellow machine. Mikolajic now sliding to the inside in that silver and red number 77, side by side going over the razor jump.
And how about Nathan Kirchner and Ryan Bauer up 8 positions each? Kirchner is just outside of the cut line. So he is looking very close to trying to get through and pulling off a miracle. Somebody was on their lid. I couldn't quite make out who that was that we saw.
Yeah, there's been a lot of problems with some of the trucks a little bit further back, but it is all these front 4 escaping out of the way now. You see Ryan Bauer, kind of that 5th truck in line, the caboose in the train.
It's Austin Bolson, who got rolled over, unfortunately, and somebody spun off to the side. That was Abedi, who was briefly in the lead of this one. It has been swapping all around here in the second heat. It is absolute chaos. DeWett, your new leader. Mikolajic now into second place, and Nathan Kirchner up 9 positions and through.
And Abedi even took the tow button, so that must have been a pretty serious off track there. Gonna have to be curious about exactly what happened, but it's Mikolajic still giving chase to our leader, Jeremy DeWett, out front. This battle a little bit further back, that's actually starting to close in on Ryan Bauer a little bit.
Mystery solved. Abedi had a black flag, I think, for what happened at the start, so that's why he towed out of this one. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to try and climb back forward. Although the way this race is going, I mean, you might still be able to come from last into a transfer position.
And speaking of how the race is going, check this out. This is the lead side by side. Mikolajic trying to go the long way around. That usually doesn't work there in Calamity Corner, but I think he's got a little bit more speed than that gray and yellow number 38 right in front of him. He definitely wants to take a heat win.
He's trying his best as we watch with Paul's onboard camera here flying up through turn 2. They're not completely away from Kirchner, but they have the space to try and battle if they so desire. And the 77 says, yes, I do. I've been trying to get this spot away. We're only halfway through this race. He stays to the inside down through gravel pit, but nothing doing yet.
Well, and to kind of talk about that, Joe, if you're Kirchner, you've seen so much chaos already. Who knows what's going to happen between these two in front? That's the second time they've gone side by side through Calamity Corner. Paul Mikolajczyk in this number 77 just constantly finds himself on the long way around. He's going to have to try something different.
Behind them, it's getting quite heated between countrymen Bauer and Irvin, fighting for the fourth position. Oops, side by side now for the lead. DeWitt still slightly ahead, but Mikolajczyk could have his nose inside, coming down into gravel pit. Can he finish it off, though, is the question. Does not pull the slider and try and go up in front of him on the exit. Just couldn't place the truck there. He's still right on top of him, though.
Still really respectful racing. Oh, a little bit wide through turn number 4. There is our leader. You see Paul Mikolajczyk just trying to open up that door a little bit more, try some over-unders, try to get alongside our leader.
Oh, and we've got a problem here, trying to make out who this is. Devin Frank, it seems, having some problems.
And you know what, Joe? Devin Frank was also one of the cars that got turned around on that land rush start. Definitely not the heat that he was hoping for.
No, it was not, but we got to keep watching this battle for the lead. They're coming up to the white flag. Paul has not managed it yet. Is it worth him trying to risk it here? Well, he seems to think so, Joe, as he's going for the over-under once again.
I think that, and he clips the inside kind of K-wall just a little bit there, trying to get up alongside. Yeah, you're right, Joe. He wants this heat win. I don't think he's going to push the issue too far, but hey, a checkered flag is a checkered flag.
Absolutely, and this time he manages to get in front, tries to block the momentum. He does it successfully. Jeremy cannot fly back underneath him. Coming through turn 2, covers off the inside as Paul tries to prevent the same move being pulled on him. Now Paul Mikolajczyk going deep initially into the corner, tries to cut back. Nothing there for him. He could have one final chance into Calamity Corner, but I don't think it is quite there as Paul Mikolajczyk pulls the blinder and wins the second heat of the night.
Look at him. He is obviously extremely excited to win that heat, advance himself on.
Can't contain himself. DeWitt, though, is through, up 6 positions. And how about Kirchner? 9 spots gained to finish 3rd and advance through. And that will end our second heat with quite the exciting start and finish as Mikolajczyk takes the win over DeWitt and Kirchner, advancing through. Everyone behind that you see will have to go to the last chance qualifier just as before. And an update on the 98 car, Abedi was given that black flag for not holding his line at the start. That's why he was given that penalty as he cut across on the land rush, unfortunately. So it takes us to our 3rd and final heat of the night, and it is Oliver Golding on the pole position with Matthew Linda in the 2nd position. Then it's Cameron Magashik in the 3rd spot, followed by Nathan Metoxen in 4th, and Keenan Cusin starts in 5th spot. Jason Bryant will start P6, and Lance Elkins starts in 7th. After that, it is Dennis Crosby in 8th and Brent Smith in 9th. Corey Boudinot will begin from P10. Byron Honea will start in 11th. Richard Swavely 12th, and Jake Hill rounding out the last of your 13 cars in this one. Well, we said avoiding the chaos was going to be key, and I think that was doubled down upon in the last one, Joey.
We only saw one big wreck in heat number 1. You're right. It was multiple wrecks between that opening lap or even the 2nd lap. Turn number 2 continues to be that chaos corner. We're going to see if 3rd time's a charm and it strikes again.
All right, just waiting for the last of them to now grid up out there. Again, top 3 is the ones that you want to look for, and they will automatically advance to the feature. But then we'll have 3 consolation races to decide who makes it to that feature, as it looks like the trucks are now ready, and they start to rev those engines here on the Land Rush start, looking for the call from the flag stand. There it is. Green flag is out as they fly towards Potawatomi turn 1. And down to the inside, it does look like that is a pretty good start for our pole sitter, as he is almost to the corner. This is much more tidy than what we saw before, but we're not out of the woods yet, Joey.
No, and I see that purple truck. I think Keenan Cusin is in that 3rd place position. It's Oliver Golding out front. Cameron McGeshik side by side as they round out of turn number 2, go down the skybox straightaway and head into the gravel pit.
On his inside, looks like Magashik has the advantage over Golding down through gravel pit. He'll cover off the exit behind them. Keenan Cusin looking good here from the 3rd position, kind of on his own compared to everybody else who's still battling side by side and banging doors.
And I think I saw that it was maybe Boudinot that had a little bit of issues on that Land Rush start. He's still fighting for those spots back there in the 5th place position. So I have a feeling Keenan Cusin right now in the transfer spot, but don't look in the mirrors. He's got some sharks coming.
Keenan's been streaming for many, many days now, not nonstop, but he has been doing it for quite some time, as you can see him in that purple truck just ahead of these 2 who are going to come together. That's Boudinot and Smith. Boudinot going to stay ahead of Brent Smith, who we just heard from at the start of this race, one of our fellow announcers. And he's going to give a huge hip check to, I think that was Boudinot, who rolls over and I think winds up stranded on the K-rail.
As we get these inside shots from Keenan Cusin, this is Boudinot finally getting his truck dislodged from that K-rail. But Joe, you called it. Brent Smith, they went in side by side, just a big old door check.
And we're getting a little bit more of it once again. Golding and Magashik not giving up on it. In fact, Cameron getting on the radio. Don't think he appreciated it as he gets shoved off to the side just lightly. And now Keenan Cusin, he's thinking more than just 3rd position. He gets close to overlapping Cameron through the corners.
Well, off-road short course racing is a contact sport, so Keenan Cusin seeing all of this develop in front of him. How close do you get to it? Do you want to get tangled up in the mess, or do you want to be able to take advantage if they get involved in something?
Oh, they're doing that right now, and it looks like Cameron's going to get slowed up big time. Golding starts to run away, but here comes Keenan. We're being told this is day 41 for what is called his streamathon, and he is not tired enough yet because he's clearly got some good speed. Can't quite make the pass, though.
Oh, he's got that white number 253 right in front of him, but look out because here comes Brent Smith in that number 45 directly behind him. This, I think, has been the best race for that transfer spot so far between all of the heats we've seen.
Oh, Brent clips the inside barrier just a little bit. That's going to slow him up. He'll lose some ground up to the number 03. They settle down, at least for the time being, but we've only hit the halfway point of this race now. So still plenty to go for them to try and regain and see if they can go back on the attack. Golding leads Magashik, leads Cusin. That's your advancing cars.
You saw Brent Smith just really go sliding through that frame, trying to get whatever speed he can out of this Crandon racetrack, trying to hunt down that transfer spot, but it's pretty equidistant between our top 4 trucks right now.
And Brent's up 5 from where he started this race. He's been doing a great job trying to make up for what maybe was not the best qualifying that he was hoping for. Just needs one more to be able to make this a lot easier night on himself, but he's being challenged now by Metoxen just behind him, who would like to see if he can demote that truck there as he brings the 99 Homage livery around through turn 2. Oh, and into the wall ahead of them. I think that was Magashik who just had a problem.
Yeah, he just kind of was a little bit wide down that very small straightaway. Definitely cost him a little bit of top speed. It's brought that purple truck of Keenan Cusin right to the back bumper. I'm curious to see how he collects himself through Calamity Corner, because here we go, 1 lap left.
He was talking on the radio, Keenan was, and I couldn't completely make it out, but it almost sounded like he was saying he's not going to fight them. I think he kind of knows the big picture on this one, and he would prefer not to lose a great opportunity here, especially knowing that they're still being caught by Brent Smith behind them, and that will complicate things tremendously. Last lap of the race. So will they just cruise home, or is there more left in them?
Well, if you put yourself in Keenan's shoes, day 41, how much energy does he have to go up there and fight for the lead?
Exactly. It's been basically continuing to stream based on donations as people extend the time. But up ahead of him, Golding will extend his time tonight as he will head to the feature, taking the win in the third and final heat. Magashik second, and Keenan Cusin will finish in third as Brent Smith is the first one below the cut. There is your results. Everybody below that P3 will be seen again a little bit sooner, and they'll have one more chance to try and do it. And the lights have come on, apparently. Well, sort of come on.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they had this version of the track here. These trucks do not have lights on them. We might have to do a little bit of a break here.
And yeah, I am seeing this as well. I do notice, though, the time is set to a 4X, so it should be going through pretty quickly here. But, Joe, you're right. The lights are officially out here at Crandon.
So this is probably not going to work. As you can see, the drivers, this is what they would see as we hop on board here. There's just not a whole lot to it there. So I imagine the admins are going to try and fix the clerical error here and bring us back to daylight in a brief moment. Not something that you see usually in real racing that happens.
No, and I'm seeing some great messages in the chat here. I'm wondering if Crandon missed the power bill out there. There's some great things going on. I know it's a little bit odd that we're having to deal with this, but still great spirits over here.
Yeah. And not every track actually has lights on it, and I am somewhat surprised and glad to see there are actually lights out on this track. So iRacing has modeled that, just not enough, unfortunately, to light up the entire thing. So just won't quite do it. We'll sit tight until we figure out and get word of what exactly we're going to do. But my goodness, it's so Joey. This one in the last chance qualifiers, 3 will advance once again. Excuse me, but it's only 4 laps, so it's less time, and there's slightly fewer drivers. But now, I mean, if you don't make the cut, your night's done.
If you thought it was high pressure before to get it done in 6 laps, yeah, you better cut that down a little bit. Only 4 laps this time. You're right, there are fewer trucks, but I'm seeing there's still 10 trucks lined up. That means a full row along that land rush start. So I don't know. I think that there still can be plenty of calamity, if you will, into turns number 1 or turn number 2. 10 trucks is still plenty.
I agree. I think it's going to be quite frantic out there once we do get racing. And we already saw that there are those that can't quite keep out of trouble once they get the race going with this land rush start. So you've got to really mind your P's and Q's and make sure that before you even get to the finish of this race and be amongst those top 3, you've got to try and make sure that you at least make it through the first couple turns and make it out the other side facing the right direction. I hear a lot of chatter going on the radios. I haven't heard exactly what's been said. Apologies, we aren't able to feed that over quite yet, but I don't see any trucks actually starting the race currently, so you're not missing anything other than maybe just a few trucks kind of sitting in a line looking at each other.
And I'm sure that a lot of these competitors would love to just go out there and have fun in the dark, but without any sort of headlights or any sort of illumination whatsoever, it just would be extremely difficult. While it would be fun, I'm not sure if it would be the event that the race organizers are looking to put on. So, we're figuring out exactly what to do right now, but I'm sure we'll have some green flag action right back with you here at Crandon soon enough.
Yep. So we'll feed you that information as soon as we do get it. We understand that they're working hard on the issue right now. So just sit tight with us, and enjoy the comedy while we've got it. Definitely excited for future tracks to come. We have heard word that Wheatland is being worked on, another track that has been scanned in the past, and definitely one from what I've seen of the pictures and videos of it, Joey. I think that is easily a track I am most excited for short course trucks.
All the new content is super cool, and when you talk about the short course trucks community, yeah, we need another track, if not another few tracks out here. If you've never tried these off-road trucks in iRacing, I highly urge you to do it. It doesn't matter if it's the Pro Light, the Pro 2, or the Pro 4, the big dog out here. They are tons of fun. You can really throw the trucks into the corner. The yaw angles that you get is just incredibly fun. I guarantee you, after the first time you drive one of these off-road trucks, you will exit the sim with a smile on your face.
Yeah, and they've continued to gain popularity here. So, well, while we enjoy maybe a chance later to ride the trucks ourselves, I think we're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back in a moment here on FTF.GG. Stick around. We've got more racing to come here for the iRacing Regional Short Course Series.
Fast life, the fast living. They see the ambition, they know I'm past driven. Look, we are not the same, this is not a game. I've been swerving through the city in and out of lanes. Yeah, cause if I see it, then I want it, then you better know I got it. Ain't no options, I'm about to do the damn thing. I'm an outlaw, you can never catch me. I'm in first place, you can never. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. You're your own enemy, your own enemy, your own enemy. When I fall, I keep running. Feel the pain, but I love it, yeah.
You know I'm built for it. You ain't gotta ask twice.
You ain't by that fast life. 100 on the dash with the cash light. You ain't by that fast life. Big dog status with your stats like. You ain't by that fast life. Just know 100 duffels is the bag price. You ain't by that fast life. 6 speed, yeah, I'm smashing on the gas, gas, gas. It's a fast life. It's a fast life. Keeping it moving, don't switch up my code. Life full of circles, we out the A4. It's a fast life. Look, yeah, I'm about to ride it till the wheels fall off. Yeah, I'm about to run the game, I ain't never dropping off. Let's be talking about a bag, put a duffel on the dash. Yeah, I'm really about to swap, heavy foot up on the gas with it. Trunk tracks with the cash in it. Passionate, long range when I'm passing it. All drive, I ain't stopping unless I'm crashing it. And even that wouldn't stop me from going after it. These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. You're your own enemy, your own enemy.
Welcome back to a very dark Crandon International Raceway, but it does have a bit of light. Remember I mentioned earlier that they had a few spotlights here that iRacing had placed. They are around the short course, so they're going to attempt to skip the land rush start and start here just past Potawatomi Turn 1, from what we understand, and see if this works. So we'll try and show you as many images as we can, because it's going to be a little bit dark, but like as you can see, Joey, that there are various spots around that look like they are good enough.
I love it. I think that this is fantastic. It is a giant curveball thrown into the mix here. Typically, you have the mud being kicked up on the visor and you got to run the tear-offs. Well, this is just like having permanent mud on the visor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm listening here. See if I can get some word.
I know that, yeah, Joe, I know that you were listening there. I think that they're just kind of lining them up right now, waiting to get everybody's opinion, I believe.
Yeah, so it says they're going to count them down to a start. So it sounds like they are going to try and, yep, 20 seconds till go time is the word we were just given. So we're getting ready to go here very shortly. It's not a full 10 wide start because there's just not enough room on the track, but they do have 2 rows of what looks like 5 out there that are going to try and take off here. And as they wait patiently, we won't. Here we go. They're counting it down now. And there is the green flag. We are on our way for what might be the first night race here at Crandon in the sim. And zooming their way up around turn 2, they disappear into the darkness and reappear in the light past the skyboxes.
And we're going down into the gravel pit here. I know it is extremely difficult to see. It is just as difficult for the drivers right now. They are rounding through the gravel pit and now head over the Polaris Razor jump, coming into Calamity Corner, turn 4 for the first time in complete darkness.
Oh my goodness. You can see from the onboard just a bit of the shine on the track is kind of all they have to go off of before they finally come back into lights here through turn 1 and past the barn once again. So this gives us a better, clearer picture as it looks like it is still Brock Hammer leading, but he's been fighting with Dustin Price for that top spot.
As they head off into that straightaway again. Remember, only 4 laps here on this heat, not that 6 laps, and the top 3 will still advance, but it is Dustin Price in the number 15, Brock Hammer in second place, Patrick Solari currently in third.
It might be a question mark and if they complete all of the laps because they do have a time limit. Oh, and I think there was an elbow on Brock Hammer that pushed him out of the way, it looked like. And yes, as they come back into the light, that is Price, who is your leader. Solari is now in second, and Brock Smith and Brock Hammer are fighting over the last transfer spot. Oh, make that not anymore. Smith just got turned.
Well, you could see definitely more than what I did there. So that promotes the number 657 of Brock Hammer into that transfer spot. But hot on his heels is Borschinger in that number 191 truck.
Yeah, I'm kind of going a little bit on the time and in scoring, but I can just see glances as we're still side by side. Solari and Price fighting for the lead. 1.5 minutes left to go. I think that's going to be enough to finish the race here, but it'll be right up against the edge. Price still in second as Solari leads them around past the barn.
And Joe, I'm actually watching from some of these trucks like directly on board. It is crazy racing through the night here at Crandon. It almost looks like some ice racing.
It does kind of look like that. It's very black and white out there for sure. And yeah, I mean, I can't even really see what's going on into gravel pit until they actually steer in. I don't know how they're managing to figure out their turn-in points. And as we come to the final corner, Solari just had a wreck, and that was into Calamity Corner. Dustin Price has inherited the lead.
Oh my goodness, that means Borschinger is up into second. Brock Hammer is still in that third place position, but definitely a big shakeup at the front. 4 laps here, and we are on the final one.
Dustin Price, your leader in the number 15 by almost 1.5 seconds. He has run away here in the dark. This is definitely a new skill that I didn't know that these guys would have to really perfect as Price comes around gravel pit and now towards Calamity Corner. All he has to do is run this last right-hander clean. The 15 is going to be our first win in the dark for our last chance races. Borschinger will make it through in second, and then Brock Hammer will finish third.
What an interesting experience here at Crandon. You know, Joe, you learn something new every day, and apparently you can put Pro 4 trucks in the dark.
Yes, exactly. I guess the next question for some of these guys is when iRacing is going to add the fog lights on top of them to help them out. My goodness.
The light bars for the trucks.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. There is your results. Again, everybody below third is done for the day as we head now to the C main here. And our grid for this one is going to be Aiden Irvin on the pole with Tommy Donahue starting second. Thad Countryman starts P3. Ryan Bauer, P4 for him, has a good chance of trying to sneak through. Joey Herbie will be 5th, and Christian Noble 6th. And it's Austin Bolson in 7th, Cole Fisher 8th, and Devin Frank 9th. Alex Abedi, with his penalty, will have to start from last. We know he's quick, Joey, so he's got double duty here. He's going to have to pass a lot of cars and do it at the dark to try and sneak into the top 3.
You know, you're right. He's got his work cut out for him. A big old hill to climb. I'm seeing in some of the chat windows over here, Joe, that the drivers, they are allowed to turn on their driving line for these last chance qualifiers, or I should say for these heats in the dark here. That should help them at least kind of find their way through the complete darkness.
For those that have not played iRacing, there's sort of a training line you can turn on to help you find your brake points, turning points, and whatnot. And normally, most people, once they have had, I would say, a week or so on the sim, tend to turn it off. There are some that keep it on. Hence why we're saying that the drivers will have to turn them back on here. But it will glow in the dark no matter what conditions you're in, so you can see it exactly on the track, and that will kind of help guide them so that they don't completely lose track of things in the dark through some of the dimmer portions.
And you know who probably would really excel at this? And unfortunately, he's already transferred his way in. Keenan Cusin, because I know that he's a big-time F-Zero fan. That is pretty much just like an F-Zero track at that point.
That's a good point, yeah. I played a lot of the original F-Zero when I was young on the Super Nintendo, I have to admit, but didn't really get to play many of the other additions to it. It looks like I think they're going to send them off once again here in a second, get them lined up, and send them off for the 4 laps. Last time it went decently well. There was a little bit of beating and banging. I feel like these guys definitely have it a little bit better than those before, because that was kind of a if you'll excuse the pun, blindly feeling through the dark to figure out how to race that one.
Yes, you kind of get to sit in the grandstands and watch the first group go and make a fool of themselves, and then you got to strap on the gloves yourself and be like, well, I guess it's my turn to go ahead and jump into the deep end. But hey, at least they have a plan. They were able to see that the trucks can race. It's not like the drivers are completely lost out there. You couple that with turning on that driving line, so that way you at least have a reference of where the apexes are, kind of where the brake markers would be. It definitely at least helps the drivers out feel their way around Crandon.
So haven't sent them off quite yet. They're also doing some of the, you can change some of the graphical settings in the sim or on your monitor, things such as that, and they're helping advise them on ways to do that to help them get a little bit better visual in that sense. Another thing you can't really do in real life that you can do here in sim racing, since your eyes can only get what they can get in the real world, but just kind of sitting tight until they will send us out. However, with a broadcast, we can also give you a little bit better contrast. So there you can kind of see some of the stuff surrounding the trucks now.
A little bit better here in the pitch black big house of Crandon. I think no matter what, though, at any time of the day, this place is going to provide some extremely good racing. Joe, I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of different racetracks in my lifetime. Crandon, I have yet to go to. It is pretty high on the list. I gotta say, maybe in the next couple years, I want to make my way out there for the World Cup.
Yeah, same. I've put it on my bucket list in recent times because I want to get up there too. It just looks like a heck of a lot of fun. This is a track that definitely puts on a good show, as we've seen both virtually and in the real world, and has so much history in the short course world. But the Midwest definitely sees a good chunk of these tracks. And of course, the Southwest also has a few of them. Fortunately, some of them shutting down recently, sadly. So we've lost a few, including some that have been preserved on iRacing. So if you ever wanted to get to places like Wild West and you feel like you missed your chance, well, you can still see a virtual representation of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we still kind of get to live on the glory years here in iRacing. And I actually saw some Crandon racing on the real big TV the other day, and I was actually extremely impressed with the track prep that they do out here. Now, here in iRacing, we always get the same track prep, whether it's a 0% track state or whatever you set it to. but it was very cool to see how Crandon was really able to water down the racetrack, prep it for each heat, and it's just an amazing facility out there. One day I'll definitely get there.
So there's still a whole lot of chatter. I'm not sure why they haven't sent them off quite yet, unless they're still working with the teams. They have a limited amount of time that they can run these races, but I think that is after the green flag, and I don't think they've been given the green. So I guess they do still have the time on these to go, but we're just kind of sitting patiently here, looking for them to be given the signal by race control, who's obviously talking a lot to them. And yeah, now they're telling them they're going to get the green flag, but that is not the official green flag. So don't take that as a signal to go running here. They're going to have to carefully kind of drive without any of the lights through the darkness now along the straight towards Potawatomi turn 1. You could see some of them kind of tiptoeing their way up to the fast right-hander, where now they're going to start lining up here under the lights into turn 2.
I always joke that the Land Rush start is going through the picnic tables and beach balls as the pro trucks go flying through there. Well, in the darkness, I can imagine that it's a campground out there. All the tents and the barbecues all set up, and these trucks, they just kind of have to figure out their way through that.
I mean, with how dark it is, they could wind up in the tents. As somebody's gone a little bit far.
And that was Ryan Bauer, I believe. And you got to be really careful about backing up in the sim. I know that you can't go too far backwards in this.
Yeah, he's doing it very carefully to make sure that he doesn't DQ himself, and it looks like that's as far as he can go. He's going to back a little bit farther here, and now he is in line with everybody else. If you recognize that name, yes, that is the Ryan Bauer that is at times one of the producers of the short course series here. But having a bit of trouble, I guess, following instructions on this one as they're counting them down now. We are ready to go racing, and the green flag is out. They all get away from the line. Now are they going to make it through turn 2 as they try to siphon themselves down through the left-hander?
Oh, and more contact through that turn 2 complex. I see Bauer got squeezed up into the wall. I believe it's Aiden Irvin in the 259 that's currently leading the way as they go through the gravel pit for the first time, launch themselves towards the Polaris Razor jump.
Yep, so Herbie, it looks to be the one that got into trouble back there as he falls to last place. Fisher currently leading ahead of Devin Frank. Aiden Irvin, the last to transfer, but it is still extremely tight in the pack. You can see there are no gaps between them right now, so he is under serious threat to lose that transfer position.
Yeah, I see that it's actually 3 wide back here for that 3rd, 4th place transfer position. Oh, a truck into the wall there. Just got out too wide there in turn number 2, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the gravel pit.
Betty is up to 6th now as, I think Ryan Bauer may have had some problems because he drops down to 7th position. Betty up to 5th. He only needs to make it into the top 3, so just 2 more passes, and he has managed to avert disaster, but right now it is still Cole Fisher ahead of Frank, ahead of Irvin.
And I actually see that Abetti's made his way up into the 4th place position now, so he's got to hunt down 1 more truck, but time, it's already running out. 4 laps are so fast around this place.
There are some stories that come out of both real racing and sim racing, and this is going to be one to tell. If Alex can manage to do this, that I raced through with no lights on through one of the last chance qualifiers from last place into the transfer positions. If he can pass 1 more, he's got that done as we ride on board with him, looking forward at Aiden.
He's got 2 laps remaining here. He's actually cut that gap down to less than 3/4 of a second. The 2 trucks right in front of him are actually starting to battle it out. He's just got to look for the door to open.
Out of turn 1, looks like Frank is going to have a better run, but Irvin still to the inside of him's not giving up as they head into 2, now up into the darkness once again around the corner, just a little bit too tight to the inside for the 259. He's got to be careful. Betty is going to continue to gain hand over fist if he continues to race side by side.
He's going to try to tuck it down to the inside of the gravel pit. A little bit of contact between Devin Frank and Aiden Irvin. here for this third place position, almost side by side over that Polaris Razor jump, and now through Calamity Corner, still side by side between the two.
Past the start finish line, and as they come into turn one, this is it, last lap. Alex is not close enough right now. He could still try and make it happen, and Aiden is still challenging on Devin Frank, so he might get his opportunities, but they are dwindling away, slipping through his fingers as Cole Fisher leads in front of them over the tabletop, down past the skyboxes. Aiden still looking to the inside of Devin Frank. He's close. He's within about a couple tenths, but he can't get through.
No, he's not going to do it. Only one turn remaining. Looks like Cole Fisher is going to round out of Calamity Corner, advance himself through. Your winner here in this heat, the 155.
Oh, and Irvin got so close to getting that second place away. Frank's going to beat him by 100th or so of a second. Betty is just shy of it in the end. So there's your top three advancing on. Everybody else is done for the night, unfortunately. And certainly some had it go better than others. Betty up 6 positions, but Fisher and Frank were up 7 each. So they had even managed to one-up them. Whew. Okay, so only have to do this one more time, and then we'll actually get some daylight out here as we go into the third and final last chance qualifier of the night. The grid for this one sees Brent Smith starting on the pole with Nathan Metoxen in second place. Lance Elkins will be starting from P3. And then it is Jason Bryant in the fourth spot. Matthew Linda will be P5. Dennis Crosby starts in 6th, as Brian Honia is going to be in 7th. Corey Boudinot in the 8th position, with Richard Swavely 9th and Jake Hill rounding out your 10 trucks. Well, that definitely felt like it had a little bit different flavor that time, Joey. I mean, what was the main difference that you noted out of that?
Maybe that we could see just a smidge more out of it. But no, I think that if you are in one of these last chance qualifiers trying to make it in, you just got to go out there and go off of muscle memory. You know, we talk about brake pedal pressure and why we have these stiff brake pedals in cars. Well, it's because muscle memory is what provides that little itty bitty adjustment. Well, guess what? It can do a lap time as well. When you close your eyes and envision your track map and go through the gears and do a lap, well, you're pretty much having to do that now in the sim. Just your eyes are open. You can't see anything.
I have to confess, I've tried that ever since, you know, we saw Vettel doing it coming up in F1, and I could never really feel like I'm recreating the exact timing. If you were blindfolded, Joey, and asked to do a lap around a racetrack, is there a track you actually feel like you could do that at?
I don't think that it would be the same lap time per se, but I'm more counting gears, upshifts, downshifts, brake markers. You're going through the turn motions. However, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily time a full straightaway. So the actual lap time, I think, would definitely be different, but it's more about going through the motions of what you're coming up to and what you're going to be doing in that muscle memory.
Still waiting for the drivers to head on out. They've set the timer to 10 minutes. I hope they don't use the entire 10 minutes on this one before they send them on over to the second grid. Guess this becomes a bit of a false grid, this one, before they really get set up.
And I think what they're doing is you can adjust all these settings when you're sitting there, you know, out of the truck. But when you actually get in the truck, some of them might not be exactly how you want. So I think that the race organizers are just allowing the competitors to optimize what they can to try to see the racetrack a little bit more, provide the best racing possible.
So Brent Smith was very close to trying to go through. He's going to want to try and make his best use of this pole position as he can, as they've been now given the go to head on over to the second grid, and they'll gently roll off towards turn one here, as they will set themselves up once again just before the jump here at turn 2, and that's where we'll see them take off for this race. So
While
Go
we
ahead.
get everybody stacked up and lined up right here, I know that we'll have just a brief minute. Unfortunately, Ryan Bauer did get eliminated, but it was his birthday yesterday, so a shout out, happy birthday to the bearded sim racer.
Exactly. I do like this comment from our social media guru, Cameron. She says he's 41, but his beard is 28. So if you've never seen Ryan Bauer's beard, it's magnificent. I'm very jealous of it. Definitely worth checking out if you ever want to see that one. There is a reason why he is called the bearded sim racer. Is they're now lined up, and I think they're going to be counting them down any second now. Thankfully, we don't have to wait for somebody to back up. And here is the count. Green flag is out. Almost looked like a bit of a jump start for someone up there in the front. Not sure if they're going to count it as that or how they would even try and watch out for that, but looks like everybody is going to be able to get away cleanly. Brent Smith, your pole sitter, is off to the front as they head down in the gravel pit.
I believe that was the 19 truck of Metoxen that maybe kind of lurched a little bit early, but I agree, Joe. Given the circumstances, it seemed like everybody was at least able to get away fairly. It's Brent Smith out front. Metoxen is now in the second place position.
Out of the final corner as they cross the start-finish line. Smith ahead of Metoxen. Jason Bryant in behind him in the last transfer position. Actually, that may change, as sometimes on these first laps, the timing and scoring can be a little wonky. Yes, it is Jason Bryant sitting in third, and a challenge for the lead as Metoxen was trying to get his nose in on Brent.
Yeah, and he's right there. This is actually a three-truck battle for that third-place transfer position. So it's Matthew Lind in the 003. He's currently third place. Jason Bryant has now fallen back to fourth, but also Corey Boudinot involved in this battle. He's the third car in line.
Up 3 from where he began, making good use of things here as they come out of Calamity Corner. And he's got a bit of a fight between Bryant and Linda in front of him. If they continue to squabble, that could give great opportunities now here into lap 2.
It was actually Linda that was able to scoot away. It's Bryant that's holding up Corey Boudinot. Now Corey is able to slip underneath going through turn number 2 as Brent Smith continues to lead this race. Nathan Metoxen giving chase.
Then only half a second. Linda falling off a little bit. Boudinot starting to catch up to Bryant now. In fact, I think they may have swapped positions briefly if my timing and scoring was correct. So he must be right on top of him as a little bit of a switch back there between our top 2. Metoxen poking his nose. There's your third place car. Linda behind them.
Yeah, and it's actually Brian Honia that's side by side for that 5th place, but unfortunately 5th place doesn't advance you in. You gotta get up to 3rd if you want to keep racing.
And coming through turn 2, we come back to our leaders. Once again, Metoxen, who had lost a little bit of ground briefly, is back on top of things. He's hassling Brent Smith at every corner he can. In fact, I thought maybe in the darkness it looked like he was side by side, but didn't quite have the run as they switch back now into the lone right-hander through Calamity Corner and start the final lap.
Hit the switch back, the crossover between the 2 tracks here. Sweep it around, go over the double loop jumps and enter turn number 2. It is Brent Smith leading the way. Nathan Metoxen here we are riding on board with. I think these two are plenty happy to finish this way.
Yep, they've got to know that they can't throw this away. They've got a free pass into the last race. It's the top 3 that will go through. It's Linda that needs to make sure he holds on to that 3rd position as we approach the final turn. And Brent Smith still in the lead of this race. Started it from pole, managed to hold it down as it's going to be close, but Metoxen can't do it. Brent takes the win. Nathan is in 2nd, and Matthew Linda will be 3rd, and the last driver to head on to the feature.
Well, I said you learn something new every day. I got to witness something new here today with these trucks in the darkness, and I'm extremely impressed with how well the drivers adapted to these conditions.
I am as well. And a big credit to the organizers, race control, adapting and doing what they can to make this happen too. Just everybody did a great job having to deal with this. Smith, Metoxen, and Linda, as we said, we'll go through everybody there. Below 3rd place is done from here. We'll have some sunshine after this while we wait for the sun to be able to make its rounds. We're going to take another quick break here on FTF.GG. Welcome back to Crandon International Raceway. Thankfully, we can see the track again. Thank you for bearing with us, folks, as we're waiting for the last of the drivers to sign in. Once we've got that, then they should be able to grid for the race. 18 laps. This is for all the marbles now, Joey. They've done all the heat races. They've done all the last chance qualifiers. This is to decide our overall winner.
I can't wait to see who is going to come out the other side on the top with that checkered flag. Just to remind everybody, yes, we are still at Crandon short course, so that is why you see the trucks taking the shortcut there. Hop right on over to turn number 2. We do have the sun in the sky again. Glorious to see these Pro 4 trucks.
Yep, nice and bright, and no worries. We're not going to get close to sundown on this one because it's currently 10 in the morning right now. So there is plenty of time for the race to take place with these 18 laps. Let's not forget that they also have a competition caution in this series at the halfway mark. So if you do wind up in trouble, which seems to be relatively easy to do at the start of these races, Joey, you have a chance to get a sort of get out of jail free card.
Yeah, so let's draw back on those heats that we did see, Joe. Why don't we? Because turn number 1, it's always exciting here at Crandon with that land rush start, but we actually didn't see too much mess in that fast sweeping right-hander. It was all in turn number 2. It didn't matter if it was heat 1, 2, or 3. It seemed like that left-hander, after that set of double jumps, it was just throwing every single racer on every single start for a loop.
It absolutely was. And I wonder if that was a bit of a glad welcome respite for the drivers not having to do that start. Even though the darkness probably was its own terror, the drivers didn't have to try and worry about their races being ruined by that start unintentionally getting into one another. 18 drivers in this one means we're going to have a lot more of them out there at the start, though. And in fact, it's going to be almost 2 complete full rows of cars, of trucks here at the start of this race. Here, race control starting to talk to them, so I think they are going to be heading over towards advancing the session here shortly, and at that point, it is up to the drivers to prepare themselves and get ready to go for today's race, because there's not going to be any break except for that competition caution. Once that green flag is out, you better be ready for nonstop action.
You mentioned that 18 trucks, you lined them up 2 rows here at Crandon, 10 wide for a row. It is extremely impressive. I can only think of one other form of motorsports that does more than 2 wide, and that is that square oval out there. So it's extremely cool to see 10 trucks lined up. Those RPMs go up, and with the all-wheel drive, they pretty much drop that thing into gear. The launches with 900 horsepower going over those whoops. Just so dang cool.
It has got to be an experience. I can't wait to see it in person someday and get to hear that as well. The engines just flying down that massive field towards that first corner. I'm sure it is just a cacophonous ruckus of noise as they come towards you. I believe we have about a minute and a half before they are advancing it on to the next session. We're waiting, I believe, for one more driver. 17 of them have signed in. It'll be a bit of a shame if we don't get the full 18, although sometimes people do have obligations, and obviously this was a bit of a snag that was not foreseen on the timing of this race, so something could have pulled them away from being able to participate on this one. So that might explain why we only have 17 of the 18 for starting on this. If you're curious why we won't necessarily get a full grid if we don't see that last person sign in. Try and figure out who that is that we are missing from our guest list here in a brief moment. But for now, I mean, at least normally they only get about, I think 3 minutes of warm up between the two, Joey. This is giving them so much more time to prepare.
And I think it's a little bit fair here, because if you were one of the competitors that had to go race in the dark, remember, we allowed them some time to change all of those settings. Well, when you get back to the normal configuration, you got to go ahead, flip it back to pretty much setup number 1. So let's just make sure everybody is ready to go.
And we're getting word that it is Brock Hammer that did not show up. So sad that it's only going to be 17, but now they start to grid. And your starting order for this race sees Oliver Golding on the top spot over Paul Mikolajic. Cody Wieniecki will start in third, followed by Cross Kirchmeier in the fourth position. It is Jeremy DeWett who starts from P5, and Cameron Magashik will be 6. Corey Skiles starts 7th today, as he's got Nathan Kirchner next to him in 8th. Keenan Kusin will begin 9th, and then in 10th it will be Dustin Price. Joey.
11th, the second row will be Cole Fisher all the way on the inside, then Brent Smith in the number 45. Solomon Borschinger will be lined up 13th, Devin Frank 14th, Nathan Metoxen in 15th, Aiden Irvin in 16th, and then farthest left on the second row will be Matthew Linda in the 003 truck.
Track set to 48%, so almost half use here. The stewards are able to change the track use on a session if they so desire. So I think they wanted this one a little bit worn in here, Joey.
I think that's fair. Remember, we don't have the heats in this session, so we haven't had the trucks running on the racetrack. So it's not like it's a full blue grooved in track. It's just kind of like there has already been some trucks, not just the practice session, but maybe a little bit more than that.
So I think they were giving the get ready signal. They're still waiting on Magashik, though. Once he is out there, then they'll probably get them going. Nope, never mind. Looks like they are getting them going now. Magashik not able to line up. So only 16 trucks are going to be taking the start of this race as the green flag is out and someone pulls off to the side. Is that Keenan? I think that may have been Keenan Kusin as everybody else flies towards that first corner and down in the hole shot. I think we are going to have our pole sitter manage to make it through. Little bit of trucks getting tangled up with one another, and unfortunately that's going to send a few out into the barrier.
Yeah, definitely a handful got shoved out there at the end of turn number 1, but it's Cody Wieniecki, the number 9 truck out front. I believe that's Oliver Golding giving chase. Oh, and check out Paul Mikolajic all the way narrow through the gravel pit, a little bit of door banging, but steals away third.
Golding had the top spot at the start, but he gets blocked down into the corner as they come around the final turn. Wants to try and out-accelerate him, but Wieniecki says, no, I want a back-to-back win to start this season off. A little bit of beating and banging behind them down into Calamity Corner, but for the most part, they all get through.
And it is 1, 2, 3, well-mannered now, but look at how busy it gets past that 4th place position. So Aiden Irvin loving what he's seeing right now. Dustin Price giving chase. They love to have this clean racetrack.
It was Irvin and Price that I think went off the track, so our timing and scoring a little bit wonky there for a brief moment. I know I made the same mistake. It's Wieniecki who is technically leading once that actually updates here, and it should once they cross the line now. And Cody is only a few tenths ahead of Oliver Golding as Mikolajic gives watch from behind.
I know better than to trust the timing and scoring here at Crandon, but you're right. It is really a top 3 breakaway. I'm seeing almost 1 second gap between that number 77 and the number 75, that 4th place truck of Cross Kirchmeier. Remember, we do have that little bit of a break here at the halfway point, but the top 3 definitely seem to have pace.
And that break does include wave rounds for drivers a lap down. So if Irvin and Price find themselves gobbled up by these guys with the pace that they're running, they will get back onto the lead lap. Right now, they still are. Top 3, as you heard Joey mention, are just kind of separating themselves ever so slightly. Kirchmeier and Cole Fisher still giving hard chase for 4th.
And Kirchmeier did put in a very good lap time equal to those in that top 3, so maybe we'll see that blue truck start to close in that gap to our lead group, but giving chase is that number 155 of Cole Fisher. He's going to try to attach that fishing line onto that back bumper, drag himself up as well.
And he knows probably that he'll get that competition caution to help him out tremendously. A little wide there for Cole Fisher coming through gravel pit. Thought maybe for a brief moment Brent Smith had a good opportunity, but not able to use it as they come out of Calamity Corner once again. This is perhaps some of the most single file racing I think we've seen all night.
Yeah, but I'm looking primarily at that third-place truck of Paul Mikolajczyk. Remember, he did a really good job of actually making passes in his heat, and he's up there applying the pressure to Oliver Golding. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change for position. Maybe not a change, but at least a nose poke down the inside soon enough.
Oh, there you go right there. Great call, Joey, because he tries it right away. Paul's not nearly close enough. I think that was a send and a half from the number 77 just to try and rattle the cage of Golding. No dice, though.
Into Calamity Corner, but you see that really put Golding way out wide, and right behind him is more action as well. All it takes here at Crandon is sometimes pushing that driver off of that racing line, start doing those over-unders. Eventually, you can cross them over.
I'm happy to see, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, that we haven't seen any more drivers clip those tires on the inside since we saw in the qualifying there. So hopefully they're getting away with it. Kirchmeier now in the blue 75 on the outside as Fisher's going to send the slider and gets cut back underneath very easily.
That was a huge slide job there from Cole Fisher, and he ended up losing more track position than he gained. But sometimes it's just throwing that move, seeing what the truck can take, and then say, all right, maybe I got to back it down next time I try it.
Yeah. Got to feel the waters out a little bit and then try again a little later. This is between Linda and Smith now. Brent Smith fighting for the 6th position. Brent's going to be able to hold on to that P6 as they head through turn 2.
See who can carry more speed down the now very short straightaway here at Crandon. Not quite sure that Linda is close enough to send anything in the gravel pit here, but actually check that out, a little bit wide from Brent Smith. Possibly gives an opportunity here to Linda behind.
He's going to stick with it, try and see if he can get underneath them. A little wide there from Brent Smith. Opens the door, but not enough, and he'll hold them down at least for now. The 155 of Cole Fisher now in front of them is actually pulling quite a bit of a gap to those behind because of that as we jump up as well to the battle for second position, actually. Golding versus Mikolajczyk.
Yeah, Paul's still trying to find a way around. He's going to really send it down the inside in the gravel pit, but he just can't get the drive off to complete that pass. And I wouldn't say that Oliver Golding is necessarily holding up a train behind him, but Cody Winiecki, he has started to run off into the distance.
And it's lap 7 side by side here as Golding's on the inside of Mikolajczyk, so he's got the advantage currently, but can he hold on to that? He feeds out just in front of him in time to try and slow the momentum of Mikolajczyk as Kirchmeier and Fisher creep ever closer to this pair. It's a lap 8, actually, not just lap 7, which means at the end of this lap, we get the competition caution, and Winiecki's gap that he pulled dissipates.
Oh, and there is a nice move back there for what will be the 4th place position, as it looks like Golding is just able to defend here in second, just really able to put the power down coming out of the gravel pit, but more door-to-door here for 2nd and 4th. Oh, no, Paul Mikolajczyk off the track.
And that was after he crossed the line. Are they going to let him come back through? As there is the competition caution. He is going to overtake a few cars here, so he seems to think they're going to let him back up into position.
This will be interesting. Now, every race control will view this differently. I'm not going to say what is right, what is wrong. I'm not in that position, but this is definitely an interesting situation.
So I haven't heard any word from race control as they give them instructions to pull off. They're going to stop by the skyboxes here and let them wave on by the cars that need the lap. Magashik is one of those. In fact, he's going to be the only one. Hewson, unfortunately, is our only DNF so far of the 17 starters. So it should be pretty quick. Let's take a look at Paul Mikolajczyk's problem here across the line. I can't even tell who was ahead at the line, frankly.
I'm not sure. I think by timing and scoring, it was Mikolajczyk, and I think he actually hit the pylon on driver's right, which then bounced him into the competitor's car, which then sent him back, like almost a double tank slapper here over the whoops.
You're right on both counts. The timing and scoring does say that Paul did get across the line before Golding by barely 1/100th of a second ahead of him. And they have not ordered him to change positions, so they seem content to let him stay up there. And Golding also is not trying to move in front of him, so it looks like everybody's happy, at least for now. So we'll let that storyline sit as it is, and not come back to it unless we hear word that it is any sort of concern. We're going to restart now for the second half of this race with Winecki on the top spot, Mikulajic second, and Golding starting from third. Fisher and Kirchmeier, though, they've regained a lot of that lost ground themselves. Are they going to be on the charge to try and get through as they approach the green flag? Not here at this. It looks like they're going to start it as they do on the long course next to the barn here. So sit tight as look at Winecki try and open up the exit and go way out into the marbles here because he knows he can straight line this so much better. Here it is. Oh, and he's checking them up. Look at them. They're almost pushing each other through the corner as they have to slow up. And there's the green flag. Looks like Winecki is on the loud pedal. Mikulajic tries to stay underneath him, but I don't think he's got the momentum.
No, I think that wider line from our leader is really going to pay off in terms of the top speed. We'll see if the 77 of Paul goes to the narrow line. He's been doing that all race long. He gets side by side with Winecki, but it's all about that drive off of gravel pit. Paul Mikulajczyk still giving chase to our leader.
Oh, big run into the side of Golding. In fact, it helps him a little bit, I think. At least it briefly did, but Cole Fisher now has a nose ahead. Around the outside, he gets hip checked out of the way.
Oh, big old whips from both of those drivers to get those trucks turned into turn number one. But it is that white and blue truck. Cody Winecki starting to put down the pace again. Remember, he stretched it out over 1.5 seconds over everybody before we had that yellow flag. I'm curious now with the 77 giving chase.
Yeah, I kind of wondered the aggressiveness that we saw from Paul. I have a feeling that was because he knew if he lets Cody get away, it's going to be hard to reel him in.
And with the laps being so short, you just can't let a driver get away like that. Oh, some more door banging going on in the background. I see Matthew Lind moving cross Kirchmeier out of the way.
Kirchmeier falls to 6th because of that. Now he's got Brent Smith trying to sneak up the inside. Brent doesn't quite find the room that he needs as he gets pinched down close to those tractor tires. Into turn 2, he's going to give it another look, but once again is denied.
Around this very, very fast sweeping left-hander down the skybox straightaway, chuck it into the gravel pit. Nothing has changed up front, but look at how busy it is further back here in this field.
Frantic stuff. This is Smith fighting now with Metoxen, I believe, on his outside, coming into Calamity Corner. Feeds him out. No worries there for Brent Smith as we hop on board with Metoxen. Someone a little bit high up there trying to cut back down across through turn 1.
These double whoop jumps over turn 1. It feeds you into turn number 2. You have to really be careful, and you see in front of Metoxen, that's Brent Smith getting hard into the wall, but as long as you keep that throttle pedal to the floor, it doesn't kill too much momentum.
And look at how much the track is starting to the line is working northward there through gravel pit. Drivers going wider and wider, leaving that door open for anybody who can find the grip on the bottom line. Down through Calamity Corner, it's much more narrow into there, and Fisher found that out as he couldn't quite get past Golding for that podium position.
I love this line of trucks that's going on right now. Oliver Golding in the black and red, he's kind of the cork in the bottle. It's Cole Fisher directly behind Matthew Lind right there. But when you go down into the gravel pit, Joe, watch them all spread out.
This is where you can get a little bit more creative. Who's going to do what into there? Oh, Golding tries to hold the middle line. Fisher wants to go through there a little quicker. And Lind with Kirchmeier through his inside. Nobody changes position, but certainly there was plenty of paint traded.
No, but I think that the patience is starting to run out. You see Golding and Cole Fisher still side by side. Golding's got the inside of the racetrack right here, forcing anybody to go the long way around.
Still side by side between Kirchmeier and Lind. Lind's got the inside coming down into turn 2. Shorter distance through this one. Will this pay dividends? Oh, no, they get checked up as they go side by side in front of him, causing a 3 wide. Down almost through the grass there. Lind is trying to find some road, says, give me some space, guys.
Yeah, and the 155 is going to go way deep into the gravel pit. It ends up being Oliver Golding that's still in 3rd place, but unfortunately, it's Cole Fisher that's now got the inside line into Calamity Corner. He should come out in 3rd place.
Finally got that Golding retriever to let go of that 2nd or 3rd place, rather, and falls down to 5th as somebody goes for a tumble. That is Lind.
Oh, just problems end over end. Off goes Matthew Lind, but it's Cole Fisher that is now standing on the podium. Cross Kirchmeier's the one giving chase.
And this is Winecki that we saw briefly there. Mika Logic has been holding on by about a second, but it is definitely not looking close as, boy, it is all kinds of lines coming down through gravel pit. Once again, the front of the group has become Cole Fisher now that they have spread apart because of passing Golding, although he's under threat from Kirchmeier.
I might have said that Golding was kind of the cork in the bottle, but once he's side by side, he has got some fight into him. It's definitely not that he is lacking on any sort of pace.
And don't forget, remember we heard Brent Smith saying how long he's been around in dirt racing here. He knows a trick or two. He's hiding back there in 5th. He could try and steal a podium position if he stays tight enough to the rear of the 75 and the 155.
Man, 18 laps goes by so fast here, Joe. We're already coming up to that white flag as they're still side by side coming out of the gravel pit.
This is to decide who gets to spray the champagne today. Fisher still with a nose ahead. Kirchmeier, though, manages to get wheel to wheel with him. But we've seen it's so hard to hang on around the outside of turn 1. And no, he cannot do it through there behind him. Brent Smith and Oliver Golding still tussling as well for 5th.
He's going to try to poke the nose to the inside here in turn number 2. He actually gets the truck far enough alongside, a little bit of door rubbing, but Cross Kirchmeier is going to have the inside line going into the gravel pit.
Kirchmeier with the advantage, but he could send it in a little bit too deep. It seems the 155 knew that was coming, but we head on over to Cody Winecki. A win in the 1st round and a win in the 2nd one as he takes victory here at Crandon. In round 2, Mika Logic 2nd, and Kirchmeier will take 3rd, as I think, unfortunately, one of the cars in the battle was sent off into the dirt.
I believe it was Cole Fisher that was on the receiving end of a big old punt in Calamity Corner. That was pretty much the end of that podium race. Congratulations to Cody Winecki, just an amazing pace all race long.
And Fisher wound up in 7th, and it wasn't Kirchmeier that ran into him. It was Brent Smith who was fighting with another car, as I think we're going to take a look at that replay. So there is the cut back. Now watch behind them as the car not in these two battles is suddenly just going to appear out of nowhere and say hello.
And trust me, when you have 4,000 pounds of inertia, it just doesn't stop all of a sudden. And he also had a few trucks behind him, but it was at least thankful that Cole Fisher was able to get his truck pointed the right way before the rest barreled through.
Physics are tricky, and I think he also got some help. It looked like there was a bit of a shove from behind, so he wouldn't have hit him quite as hard, I think, if he didn't get another car kind of sending that 99 Tribute livery into the side of poor Cole Fisher. Here is your results in the meantime. Winecki taking victory over Paul Mika Logic by about a second. So Paul made it a race, but just could not hang. Kirchmeier was 3rd, and then it was Brent Smith who finished P4. Nathan Metoxen with a 5th, gaining 10 positions. We didn't really get to cover it because there was so much excitement, but boy, did he run up the order. Golding from the pole down to 6th. Unfortunately, Cole Fisher was 7th, and Solomon Borschinger was P8. Cameron Magashik 9th, and Aiden Irvin was 10th today, Joey.
And then in the 11th place position, we have Dustin Price. Jeremy DeWitt is going to finish in 12th. Devin Frank in 13th. Corey Skiles in 14th. Nathan Kirchner was the last truck on the lead lap in 15th. And then, unfortunately, Matthew Linda and Keenan Cusin did not finish the race.
Looks like we have our winner, back-to-back winner, ready to talk to us. Cody in the number 9, going to have a little convo here from Victory Lane. Cody, congratulations, back-to-back wins to start the season. It looked like on that restart, after you'd built the gap in the first half, Paul didn't want to let you have it on the second half.
Yeah, I didn't get too much of a gap. I was in too low of a gear, so he stayed on my tail for a few laps. And then he's all, you know what, I'll just run with second. So good racing with him, and we got lucky and had fresh air the whole race.
You didn't get to take part in the dark fun there. Were you jealous that you didn't get to try that out, or were you glad that you didn't have to try and go through some of those last chance qualifiers?
I was terrified if I had to go in the dark. That did not look fun.
Well, at least you got to skip that bit. But so you've had 2 races, you've controlled both of them, and they were kind of slightly different situations. Is this set the tone for the season for you? Are you expecting to try and make a sweep, or do you think the guys are going to bounce back?
We got a couple more tracks, and anything happens with the inverts and Wild West. That's always a tight corner track. I never do good at that one.
Well, we'll watch out for you when we head there. But congratulations on starting off with full ones on the top pylon.
Thank you very much. Want to thank MFR Off Road, Winnick Motorsports, Polaris Racing, MRT Teamsters, my fiance for letting me come out and race for the night. Thank you guys for the awesome broadcast. Thank you.
Cody Winecki in the 9 car taking the victory ahead of Paul Mikolajic, and I believe John just caught up with him.
Paul Mikolajic, congratulations on the second place finish here tonight.
Thank you.
Gotta ask you, it seemed like you had a lot of speed, but what was it going to take to actually get up there and pass that number 9 truck?
Cody was fast like the whole time. I even messaged him good win like a lap before the race was over because I knew there was no shot. He just had the pace over the field today. Essentially, I don't think there's really much I could have done except practice. I didn't practice at all. So, yeah.
In your heat, it seemed like you were able to get up there and pass quite a few trucks, and then you did the same thing in the feature, was able to get around to Oliver Golding. How do you like this short course on Crandon? And despite the limited passing opportunities, it seems like you were able to get it done.
Yeah, I like Crandon Shore a little bit. It's kind of like Wild Horse, but worse. So I like Wild Horse, kind of the same thing. But yeah, this is a great time to plug, racecraft for all the passing. There you go. You gotta have good racecraft. Yep. That's how I passed everybody.
And my last one, since we did have that moment of darkness here at Crandon, if you had to go out there, what would you have done? Would you have turned on the line? Did you maybe start making some notes if you had to do that?
Well, I would hope I would know those corners enough in my life that I could do it without the line. I probably just would have went and hope for the best. I probably wouldn't like staring the whole time trying to find the walls, but I think it would have been fun.
Well, Paul, congratulations one more time on that second place finish here.
Thank you.
That was the driver of the number 77 Joe, Paul Mikolajic.
And that takes us to third place, Cross Kirchmeyer, who had to make the pass on the last lap to get that podium finish. Cross, it looked like you and Cole had a heck of a battle out there.
Yeah, we definitely had a battle for a lot of the race.
Coming down to the last corner into Calamity Corner, you were going to be side by side. Did you see anything of what happened that took him out from the cars behind you?
I couldn't tell. We were kind of going side by side, and I hugged the inside, and I saw him kind of get pushed out, and then I saw someone look like it collected him, and I saw him go rolling.
This is such a short track that we ran here today, and we finally head over to someplace where you can kind of stretch the legs out at Bark River. Are you looking forward to that up at Michigan?
Yeah, I enjoy that track. I have a little more experience at Crandon than I do there, but I've been kind of working that track into my practice stuff, and I enjoy that track.
Well, best of luck when we head up there, and congratulations as well as thanks for a great show tonight.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
Cross Kirchmeyer finishing third with some hard work and some hard racing, which is going to close us up. And before we go, again, a reminder that we're going to be back on December 7th. We'll take a little bit of break for Thanksgiving, and that'll be at Bark River at 9 p.m. Eastern when we do that one. Big thank you to the organizers of the iRacing Short Course Series, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Joey, Zach, and Cameron. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the iRacing Short Course Regional Series. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.